Dr. Rountree, we're back again.
Yes.
Follow on from this morning's talk on marginal gains, the winning and losing of a competition.
Absolutely.
Speaking of competition, we've got the McCann going on in the background, so we're going to try and do this without too many crowd roars, but if we get crowd roars, it means we're going clear in there.
It's a super result.
That's
super
it.
Result. So, as Kirsty said, we are back from this morning's, this is part 2, and we are focusing this afternoon on water and what we here in Arc Equine can do for you and your yards and your horses in terms of your water quality. I suppose we'll just do a brief overview of why water is important. And we know that water and air are probably the most important things, water being the most important nutrient that your horse can have. And an adult horse's body, science tells us, is made up of 70% of water. So there's a few things that influence the amount of water that your horse is going to consume, size being probably one of the most important things, with the average horse taking in 3 to 7 litres per 100 kilos body weight. So would it be fair to say, Kirsty, average horse may be taking 20 litres, 30 litres of water a day?
Yeah, absolutely. And then we have to factor in how much work they're doing, how much they're sweating, the heat, the temperature. So yeah, so it can go right up for your race horses.
Oh yeah, true, absolutely. And as we talked this morning, then we've talked about electrolytes and everything like that, but we're going to focus a little bit more on water. And a few questions we ask when we come into your yard would be things like, is your water supply, or your horse's water supply rather, is it fresh? Is it clean? Is it abundant? And would you want to drink it? That's probably the most important one to ask.
Would you drink the water in your yard?
Absolutely not. Not yet, not until we put this system in place. So maybe not at the moment, in the future. So the reasons why I suppose we're looking at that is, and in terms of what we can do then when we ask those questions, is we have a really neat and handy little system where we can do some water testing.
Yeah.
And Kirsty and some of the guys have done a little bit of training on this. So some of the things we can do out there is in yards rather, is look at the water hardness, your chlorine concentration, the pH, which will give us an indication of the level of acidity. And then more importantly, what we really want to focus on now is the level of E. coli and total coliform bacteria. So if there is bacterial contamination and stuff there. And
so just what does coliform bacteria mean?
It's going to be all these resistant bacteria.
Okay.
We're just jumping onto this here, so we are. It's basically biofilm is
right.
the big buzzword at the moment, so it is, Kirsty. And what is biofilm? Biofilm basically, it's a thin layer of bacteria that are adhering to a solid surface, and they're clever bacteria. So what's not getting killed away and sloughed away actually passes on intelligence to this lower level here and creates really, really multiple resistant bacteria. And I suppose the most important one that everyone knows about in a hospital setting is MRSA.
Yes, absolutely.
And so we'll say, we don't want to focus on that per se today for our equine clients, but what we will
We're talking about this. How dirty your pipes are.
Sludge in your pipes. Your dirty pipes, absolutely. And in terms of biofilm, is this whole filth that's present. And I suppose what we have done is we've worked in conjunction with Medentech down in Wexford, and they have brought to market this really novel system that is basically it's a biocidal system that is going to help clear this and improve on your water quality. And improved water quality, Kirsty, can presumably only mean
improved consumption.
Exactly, yeah. Absolutely. And as we talked about this morning, improved consumption is going to hopefully, all going well,
improve
give you
performance.
Those percentages.
Yeah.
So what is this system? So basically, we've got a lovely big complicated word here, which I'm not going to try to pronounce now because I'm only going to get it wrong, like some of those newsreaders. So what it does is it releases hypochlorous acid, not to be confused with bleach. It is basically free chlorine as it dissolves in water. So it is. So this system is actually based on something that your white blood cells release naturally when they fight bacteria and they come across, we'll say, viruses and things like that. So it is something they've just harnessed and they're actually tailoring into, we'll say, this lovely compact package here.
Simple system.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it works on the basis of a constant throughput of water, and one canister of tablets treats 360,000 litres of water. That is an awful lot of water, so it is. In the canister, there's 2 different sized tablets. And what that does is it gets your chlorine concentration up right and quickly, and we know that it starts to work within the first 24 hours. And the advice generally, I think, coming from the guys down in Wexford is that when you put this in place, you want to let the water run through maybe for about 12
Run through, because what that's going to do is be like a shock dose, and it's going to clear out your pipes, basically.
Yeah.
And what you will notice when you do it is you'll get a certain amount of maybe black residue will come through. That's what we want to get out. We want to get that out of the pipe so then we have clear water running through.
And seeing that is probably a good thing.
Yeah,
so it is,
absolutely.
In terms of we know that it's working.
Yes.
And I mean, we spoke to the guys there this morning, so we did, and what they're even saying is, how does this differ in terms of, we'll say, something like UV filtration?
Yeah, so UV filtration targets that area, that one area where the light is hitting, but then the water is passing into the pipes and it's, you know, hitting that biofilm again.
Yeah.
So you could be doing everything you want to do in that one area, but then as it passes on, you know, you're getting back into contamination again.
Yeah, looking absolutely, and you can just see where we have a video demonstration of how easy it is to install this. Didn't realise the sound was on it, but it's so simple, so straightforward. And what this is doing is, at the furthest point from this canister, we can go back a couple of weeks after it's been installed, test to see the level of chlorine that's present.
Yeah.
And know, we'll say, that it is, we'll say, usually probably looking at 1 to 2 parts per million. But we know that if you do have slightly higher concentrations, up to 5 parts per million, that the World Health Organization have deemed that safe for human consumption.
Human consumption, exactly.
And
yeah.
these guys work in relation with a lot. They are one of the most worldwide recognized, and we are just bringing this, we're harnessing this from human medicine, actually. Or
Bringing it into equine and farm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, Kirsty, you put this into some yards already.
Yeah, we have it in a few racing yards and the feedback has been excellent, and the general consensus is the horses are drinking more water. The other added benefit is of the lack of build-up of algae. So we have a couple of farms that are using, some stud farms, and one farm is, I think it's a mile away from where the system is on, and that water trough has no build-up of algae. So we know we're getting all the way out into that water trough as well.
Yeah, so I mean, like, that, and that's I mean, a mile. That's a huge big distance from the source.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, in fairness, what these guys also have done, if you bear with me 1 second, I'm going to jump off screen. I can't because someone else is using it. But they've got a little system that we can
the little
put
flow
in
system
onto,
with the bulb.
an actual drinker, which can be on an out farm or an
So
out yard.
yeah, so a lot of, you know, farms would have maybe multiple water supplies coming in. So instead of having to use multiple bigger inline systems, we have this handy little device here, and what this does is, same technology is used, and this runs, I think, about 170,000 litres through it.
Half, yeah.
And what it does is it will treat the water in that water tank or in that water trough. So we can, you know, out farms will have troughs further away from their yards. These can
or
be
if
used.
you had, we'll say, a separate water source going to maybe a different field or a paddock or something like that, it's very, very useful. And I mean, like, we'll say, look, very simple system. If you would like any more information about it or anything like that,
straight onto Arc Equine.
Give us a shout on Arc Equine. We'd be happy to come out, test some water, and maybe have a little chat.
That's it.